So this is hosted by Brave Minds and Bleak Times, and this is a joint initiative of the ASEAN Youth Organization Philippines and Brave Minds. And it addresses the COVID-19 also, the pandemic's psychological impacts, especially for those with special needs and or pre-existing mental health conditions. So this afternoon, I'd like to introduce to you our speakers. So first, I'd like to introduce Militia. Militia Lin is a Southeast Asian ambassador for and the soon-to-be country director of YANA Malaysia, the national chapter of the Southeast Asian Mental Health Organization. You are not alone. A prominent social advocate, she fights for gender inequity, sexual harassment, and mental health stigma. She is also an international model and currently competing in the Miss Universe Malaysia beauty pageant. Finally, she often mentors young adults around 18 to 25 years old, although she has kickstarted her mentoring career with younger children around 13 to 17 years old. So Militia, good afternoon. Great for you to be here.
Hi. Nice to be here as well. Thank you for having me. And yeah, just lovely to be here and talk about mental health, and we'll see where we go from this talk.
Great. I'm also excited. So joining Militia today is Hugo, and Hugo Terrence Tan is a public speaker, business coach, and a civic leader. He has chartered 2 Rotaract clubs under Rotary International, and he is an ardent advocate of neuro-linguistic programming and cognitive behavioral therapy. He uses his status as an internationally respected speaker, having previously held a TED Talk. That would be really nice to listen to him speak to a TED Talk, to spread awareness of such techniques. Additionally, he aims to promote mental health in Southeast Asia as a visionary for You Are Not Alone. So hi, Hugo. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me. Look forward to see all of you here.
Great. So let's kick things up, and let's start with our first question. How would you say, depression, anxiety, PTSD, and other related conditions, how would they affect a person in terms of how he moves or how he acts? And is it different now that we are in the middle of the pandemic than it was before? Could we ask you go first, and then Militia, and then maybe, yeah.
Definitely. Thank you, Mr. MC. I think that's a great question to consider. If we look at the factors that influences a person's mental health, besides the biological factor, there are a lot of people are, pinning on, what is hereditary, what is in our genetics. Besides that, we also have to look into the social factors. And I think, Mr. MC, you have rightly pointed out that, is it worse currently in the pandemic? Definitely, no question about it. In fact, there are reports all around the region, not just currently I'm in Malaysia, but if we look at the stats in Thailand, if we look at the stats in Indonesia, all of them are worsening. Why? Because I think there is a very apt saying to it. It's as if the pandemic reveals the brokenness in our support system, in our society. For far too long, mental health has been a stigma. I've always said that people view as if physical health is health and mental health is not a thing. If you think about it, if today anyone has a fever, a cold, or even a toothache, the first response in their mind would be, where can I get help? Who should I consult? Where do I get some medication? But if today, if you are depressed over a long period of time, if you are anxious in certain situations and you feel that you can't keep it under control, no one feels like, it's not the first thing in their mind that there is someone that can help me, that I should voice out. So when we always tend to keep things under wrap and pretending that we are strong and that we are okay and that society will not accept us any other how, then when a situation like the pandemic hit us, when there is a financial crisis, it just unwrapped everything that we try to keep under cover. So yes, back to you.
Thank you, Hugo. Militia, would you like to care to add?
Yes, I would like to add to what Hugo just said. I think the most sad part, there's actually a stats provided by the Ministry of Health here in Malaysia. The recent research was 91.2% out of 100 people is actually needing emotional support during the pandemic. And that is very worrying because the number is so high, 91.2%. And I believe that the pandemic has only amplified or magnified the problem that has been going on so many years. Like what Hugo said, it's a biological factor. It's caused by chemicals in our brain, and that causes depression, eating disorder, anxiety, and so on.
Bu, banyak. Tuh mah.
Guys, hold on. Could our audience, I know everyone's excited about this topic. I realized that
I like that.
to go on. But could we have everyone mute their Zoom chats for a while so that we can have a good listen in on Melicia's answer?
Sorry. I'm sorry to bother you. Just let me finish my answer.
Don't worry.
We just need to laugh at at silly things, and I think that's the best cure as well. So in my platform or in YANA, me and Hugo always try to break the stigma by normalizing conversations. We like to talk about therapy. We like to ask people to seek help, to educate others on mental health illnesses. So I think, like what I said earlier, it's definitely amplified due to the pandemic, and the numbers are very worrying. So definitely we could see what we can do further, with the questions, and maybe there's questions from the public as well. We can definitely answer that. So adding on to Hugo's answer earlier. Thank you.
No, thank you. But I'd like to, raise a follow-up question, because mental health in Asia is a relatively new concept. How would you explain, the trend right now globally? Is mental health a big thing in like through all the countries around the world, or is it more developed in some countries and then, compared to others? Are we in Southeast Asia, for one, still trying to catch up in terms of understanding mental health and how to address it?
Okay. Nice question, to be honest. I think I would like to add to that. It's a statistics based on World Health Organization, whereby every year, the numbers are almost 800,000 people are ending their life because of mental health illnesses. 800,000 people all over the world. And out of so many people in the world, billions, we are talking about 268 million people have depression. So it's not a trend anymore. It's a real problem. And a lot of people are neglecting their health, especially their mental health. And we're trying to paint it as if we're okay, like what Hugo said earlier, I'm fine. I'm one of those people last time as well. I'll be like, oh no, I'm okay. I'm just stressed. It's okay. And then everyone asks me like, Militia, are you doing fine? Yeah. But technically everyone is dying inside. I believe many of us can relate to that. We try to avoid talking about mental health because it's so stigmatized. And last week itself, I have done a talk on my own personal platform. And some people actually said that they told other people about what is going through in their life. And they ended up being neglected by their friends. Like they don't want to be friends with her anymore because they felt like, oh, she's having a problem. It's bad. I don't want to be a friend with someone like that. someone like that, and that is a very serious issue. So Hugo, would you like to add to this?
Yes, Mel, definitely. I think among the works that we done in YANA is we have a lot of different outreach and also listening circles where we gather the feedback of the people that are on the ground. What is it that they are feeling during this pandemic? And the feedback that we gather is that a lot of them are feeling more distressed than ever. For example, we are used to having physical intimacy and, we are a very communal society, especially in Southeast Asia. And for many of us, we have extended families. We are used to visiting one another. And all these are being put in a halt during the pandemic. So what people are experiencing right now is they could have been experiencing some form of symptoms before this. And right now, if we look at it, they are being cut off from their families. For example, in certain countries, they are not allowed to travel to a different state or to a different town, as part of the, to break the chain of COVID-19 infection. So this means that whatever that they're having, right now, they do not have their usual support system around them. Just like what we have mentioned at the beginning, a lot of people are undermining the social causes that leads to mental health problems. Humans in general, I think there is a study in Harvard, which is one of the longest study on a human life, over 75 years. And they track all these people, right? How they grow up from their young all the way to old age. And they try to find what is it that makes them most fulfilled. And they realize this. It is close, proper, meaningful human relationships that keeps them happy and healthy. So right now in this pandemic, which has lasted for over a year right now, we are at year 2, possibly it's going to be the rest of the year, right? We are being cut off from our relationships. We are being cut off from our support system. I've actually heard that there are some of my friends that are being cut off from their spouses, because up until now, they still can't get back to their home. They are stuck at wherever they are. That's number one. Number two, people are also undermining the impact of working from home and studying from home. For example, unlike a lot of fortunate population, actually vast majority of people, in Southeast Asia, not all the countries has a robust infrastructure to support, online learning. And right now they are struggling. So from the people I met, some of them are basically sharing the same mobile phone that they're using themselves with their kids so that their kids can learn and study online. And they don't have one child, they have a few children, right? So there is a lot of pressure on the children as well. Like, how are they even learning anything? Are they coping, right? Thirdly is work from home. I think a lot of people have also given us the feedback that although it cut off the commute time, true, save your fuel, save your traveling time. But at the same time, the employers are getting more demanding. Now there is a feeling, JM, that you have to reply your text right now. Like, where are you? Like right now here, we are doing our work, and your employer, your manager are texting you, are getting you on one Zoom call after another. And that's the reason why. How many of you here have Zoom fatigue before? Like, you just have too many Zooms in a day. Let me know in comment. Comment yes if you have experienced Zoom fatigue before. And that is something that is also very true, right? So, yep, back to you, Jem.
Thank you. That we both of you have raised great points that it's really about the environment that will, it's like a great contributor to how to cope about these things. And now that we're into this, could I ask you, how can the people around us basically help in really drive through the problems that we have today in terms of mental health. Like, if someone has Zoom fatigue, for example, how can, let's say, the people around us, our families or our friends, help to reduce that kind of anxiety or that kind of depression?
Hugo or me first, Hugo? Are you going to go first or am I going to go first? I think I'll go first.
Okay.
As an individual that, went through Zoom fatigue as well, yesterday itself, I had 4 Zoom calls, one after another. And it was 1 hour and a half long each. And by the time I finished, it was already like 11:30 at night. So coming from an individual like that, how, other people, my family members, my friends could help me. Just a simple, are you okay? How's work? What's happening? You need any help? Those words are powerful. Sometimes people don't understand, or people think that, oh, people with mental health illnesses, they need a lot more. They just need your emotional support, or just even asking a question like that, like, are you okay? Tell me what's wrong. That really changes someone's life. And as an individual that also has done that before to many other people, especially when I do live sessions, when I do YANA circles with Hugo and friends and family, people really appreciate that. They appreciate when you ask them like, oh, okay, thank you for asking, blah, 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 blah. And after they release their emotions, their thoughts, they're always a little bit more happier, less anxiety. Now, Hugo, do you want to add anything?
Definitely. I think what Mel say definitely has merit, which is you got to find an outlet. Like true, right now we are being separated due to there is no physical contact or intimacy with a lot of people that we want to meet. But at the same time, I think the silver lining is the kind of reach that we can get, the kind of new friends and fellowship that we have. For example, this Zoom right here may not even happen if not because of our current situation. And from this, I would like to view this as an opportunity to meet new friends that perhaps we can bond together over common interests. We can also come together for different online fellowship sessions. And what we do in our listening circles, which we call the celebration circle, is that we usually have a team, right? Like the team could be on stress, on anxiety, on confidence. And we have people sharing their experiences. Nothing live stream, it's all private, it's all behind closed door. You come here, you share your story, you resonate with another person, you give feedback, we give support to each other. You cry, you laugh, and then we are done with it. So we need to find an outlet. I think a lot of people are not equipped with the right coping skills when they have mental and emotional pain. If you think about this, how many of you have actually have a mental health module from your school time or from your workplace? I've never seen one myself. We have physical education at schools, and we teach them from physics to history, but we have never taught someone how to deal with their mental and emotional challenges. True. Have you ever been taught how to deal with stress? Have you ever been taught how to process anger? Have you ever been taught what to do if you're anxious before a performance or before a big event where you have to show up? Have you ever been guided on what to do if you lose someone that you love? As usual, throughout this session, do let us know your thoughts in the chat session. We'd love to hear from you so that we can build on to this conversation, right? So I think what we need now is an outlet, number one, an outlet to channel our thoughts, our frustrations. Number two, we need to educate ourselves on how to cope and process our mental and emotional challenges. So use this time at home to improve our mental health literacy, if I were to put it that way, JM. I think this is also a great opportunity. All this while you have been busy all your life. Now it's time to learn how to have a better quality of life. And thirdly, I would say what we possibly need now is more discipline. When you are working from home or Zoom fatigue, for example, we are now being forced to learn our boundaries, when to say no. Is that meeting really necessary? Can I say no to it? When you are being pushed to the wall and you can't cope, shouldn't you voice out? Like, I really can't do this, but if your meeting or is recorded, if there is a meeting minutes, I would love to follow up with it. Or perhaps I can send someone in place of me, if that is possible. Or I have something on that time, perhaps we can push it to tomorrow. Is that possible? It's time to set our boundaries and to voice out what is our needs. Right? I think this is definitely very important. Another tip perhaps is what I would term as my deep work slot of time, meaning when I'm doing one thing, I do one thing. I don't care about any other thing. So I don't care if my family is calling me. I don't care if my friends is calling me. I have time blocks, meaning for the 45 minutes, 1 hour, 1 hour and 30 minutes, my phone is on airplane mode or I switch it off. That's it. No distraction, no multitasking. I think JM, that has to be emphasized. No multitasking. One work at one time. Go all in and nothing else. After 1 hour, you are free to turn on back your phone and entertain whatever message that comes in. So let me read out a bit of comments that is over here, right? My Zoom is a bit cracky today, but I would love to read out what Anya is saying. I feel like we have been conditioned to never feel negative emotions. Don't cry, don't be sad. You have so many things to be grateful for. We should be taught how to feel them, process their feelings instead of bottling them up. Definitely, Anya, definitely. There has been this preaching for positive thinking all the time. It is simply unrealistic and it's not productive. So back to you, JM.
JM, before you continue, I would like to add something to what Anya just said. I was waiting for my turn to add to Hugo's term when he said, like, have you ever like been at home and like, you know, our parents actually tell us to like, you're okay, you're just fine. No, I'm stressful, but nah, you're just sad now, you're just stressed. You know, later it will go away. You know, Asian parents always do that and kind of like brushes our emotional feelings away. I think that's what Anya is trying to say. And you see, Hans agree. We have many one agree with Anya on that. And that is something so dangerous and so scary that we have to unlearn those things. We are conditioned to be good, to be positive, to think positive, but sometimes we need to unlearn and just let ourselves feel what we need to feel. Like that's something that I always tell my peers, you know, just cry. JM, you need to cry after this. You know, even though you're a dude, please do cry. You know, let it out, you know, just release everything. And after that, pick yourself back up and try to understand, okay, why did I cry earlier? Was I feeling stressed? What is the stress coming from? And then solve it. So that's the step-by-step thing that I would like to add to what Hugo just said. Pass to you, JM.
Well, thank you for your answers, and I'd like to thank the guys here at our Zoom conversation to for their contributions to this whole thing, because it's very, very important for us to know how everyone is processing these questions as well and these responses. And it comes, something just came to my mind when Hugo and Militia just gave their thoughts on the people around us. And well, this comes to mind a person who is like resistant or hesitant to really express how he or she feels, or in terms of how deep it is. And some of them tend to be more hesitant and say, no, I'm fine, I'm really fine, just go away. How best should the people around them respond to that? Is it just to give that person her personal space? Will empathy help with that kind of response? How could we, the people around that person, effectively help that person out without being too intrusive or too offensive or too exposing ourselves or overreaching?
I think I understand what JM is trying to say. You're saying that what if, a person has some issues going on and you as family member or friends, and when they try to push you away, how can we help the person that is trying to push us away? That's your question, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You're trying to say that. I think for me, the best scenario I can give you is if you send an email, you do a follow-up. Correct?
Correct.
All right. You say good morning. You expect someone to say good morning. You don't expect the person to ignore you. But if the person really ignores you, like for instance, maybe it's our friends or family, that they are going through something, I always advise them to, ask them, are you okay? If they say, yes, I'm fine. Okay, just say that, if you need me, I'm here. Okay, I'm here for you. And then, go do your thing. Let them feel, let them take their time to process their feelings as well. Sometimes they need time. And then follow up, like how you follow up an email. You approach them again, like, how are you feeling today? Do you feel better? Like that day, I heard that you're not feeling good. So when you follow up, chances are most likely they will share a little bit more. Usually they will tend to share a little bit more and they will be like, wow, she's persistent. Sometimes those people or that has mental health issues or depression or anxiety, when they push you away, they expect you to come back. Most of them, okay, there is a research on this. Most of them actually expect you to come back, even though they say, no, I'm fine. They're not fine. Okay, just give them time. Follow up is the key here. Follow up like how you follow up an email. Hugo, do you want to add to this?
Definitely. I think we are really getting some fascinating areas. But first and foremost, I'd like to congratulate all our participants here as well. I do realize that our brave minds have been working hard, for the participation on Saturday afternoon. I mean, it takes a lot, to join in on a Saturday afternoon. It just shows the kind of passion that you have for this topic. So I would love to hear more of your thoughts in the questions, right, in the chat box later for the Q&A. So to add to that, I would like to maybe put in 3 points as well. So point number 1 would be that you want to be a person that people confide in. Are you a person that someone trusts? You see, I always say that because personally, although, I do apply whatever that I'm certified in neuro-linguistic programming, cognitive behavioral therapy, but a lot of times I apply it for entrepreneurs, for salespeople, for marketers, right? And there is this thing that I always say, it's not about how many contacts you have that you save on your phone and how many followers you have on your Instagram. All those things doesn't even matter. Because at the end of the day, contacts are not connections. You could have over 1,000 contacts saved, but how many of those will turn up when you need them? When you need someone, when you need access, when you need support, who will turn up? When you call for a birthday party, how many will come? I mean, that's the birthday party test, right? Yeah, so that's the thing. The people that we trust are usually a very small circle. So when you see someone not opening up to you, the first question is, are you a person worthy to be opening up to? Why are you not a person that people confide in? If we look around in our social circle, there are a select few of people that whenever someone wants to share what is in their heart and mind, they go to that person. Have you ever seen that before? Yeah. If you have seen this before, if you know such a person, if you are such a person, give me a thumbs up, right? Give me a thumbs up. If you are that person that people go to when they are struggling. So my question to you is, how and why does such a person exist? If you pay attention, you realize that that person is usually non-judgmental. Usually that person is a good listener. They actually listen, not listen to respond. Thirdly, generally in any social circle, right? Whether there is a designated title or not, there is one person that stands out to be a leader. True. There is one person that stood out to become the listener. So we all of us play a role in this society. So if you are not a person that people opens up to, my question to you, do you want to become one? You can learn. My second question is, if you do not feel that you have the skill set to be one, are you able to recommend your friend to someone else? Sometimes the best person to help your friend might not be you, nor his or her family member. True. It could be someone else. It could be a third party. So that's point number one. Point number two would be, we need to learn how to spot when someone is struggling. There is also another thing that we always share in our seminars is your fear of what other people think is based on the assumption that they are even thinking about you at all. I repeat again, your fear of what other people think is based on the assumption that they are even thinking about you at all. In sales and public speaking classes, a lot of people come to me and say, Hugo, I fear to get on the stage. I can't voice out. I'm not the leader material or whatever is it that they are thinking, because they so fear the judgment of what other people say. And then I tell them the truth. The truth is, you are overestimating how many people is thinking about you. The truth is, not many people are thinking about you. They are just like you, thinking about themselves. And because everyone is so busy thinking about themselves, no one is paying attention to how their neighbors, their friends, their loved ones, how they are feeling. It's so obvious. It's right in front of you. That person is struggling, but you can't see it. You can't see it because when you ask him or her, like when Mel or Anya or Hans go and meet this person and he says, how are you feeling? And that person says, I'm okay. I'm fine. It is not the words they say that matter, but what their body language tell. Are they looking more down recently? Are they feeling fatigued? Or are they like always in their mind? Another important sign would be that, do they relapse back to their bad habits? I have friends that whenever they are stressed, they will become like chronic smokers or drinkers or something. Or they will become chronic gamers. You know, like, because some people will say like, Hugo, I don't smoke, I don't drink. Fine. But you go shopping. You play hours on mobile gaming. Well, what do you think that is? That is not an addiction. It is. We are all sick in some ways. This is a question of whether you want to admit it, right? So when they relapse back to bad habits or old habits, that means something is going on in their lives. So to sum it up, number one, become a person that people confide in, or be smart enough to refer them to someone that is. Point number two, observe, pay attention to people. Although sometimes you do not know how to help. Honestly, sometimes I just don't feel like I'm the right person to help the person. But it's very easy for me to observe and spot that something is going on with that person's life. Thirdly, I think is, again, you need to, if the person is reluctant, you need to find a way in. There's a strategy, right, JM? Something that are always, there is always a door or a window to a person's soul. So what is it, right? It's up to you to find out.
Food is the key to my heart.
Food, exactly. There is always something, if you say you're that good of a friend or that good of a neighbor or partner, you would know what is that key. Get a foot in. So yes, back to you, Jan.
Thank you. And great set of points there, Hugo and Militia. Now that, was it food that you said earlier, Militia?
Yes, food. Food, not F-O-O-T, okay? No, I don't want your food or feed.
Well, actually, this would be in line with the next question that I have in mind right here. In terms of food, or in terms of any vitamins or supplements, how could we decrease? Well, like you mentioned earlier, way back in the beginning, it's these kinds of things are the result of chemical interactions, and one possible solution is food. So are there any recommended food groups or any supplements or any other things that you want to intake that could help the relief of someone that's undergoing a serious mental health issue, even for a few, for anxiety, for one, or something? Or is there like a or something that we could
actually there is, like, I believe last year before the lockdown here, I actually spoke to a nutrition, someone that speak on about mental health, and he was talking to me about like nutrition, like certain food can actually help you to reduce stress or anxiety. And I believe it was like berries, it was like eating nuts, certain type of nuts and berries that could help you to relax yourself. Like it would it's like chocolate. Like when you eat chocolate, you tend to be a little bit more happy. Do you realize that? I think the chocolate is like the easiest way or easiest food to be used as an example. But he also mentioned to me that eating healthy is the way to go, because apparently there's research regarding fast food that actually makes you more stressed, and it creates more problem in your body, which pushes you to be more depressed and have more anxiety. So eating healthy might be the way to go here. But I'm not so well versed when it comes to food or nutrition. So definitely do some research on that. I don't know, maybe Hugo, you have any food types or knowledge on food to be told here?
Okay, so, usually before any mental health sessions that we talk about, usually I tend to read out a disclaimer that any kind of actions to take or therapy or medication that is being mentioned throughout this whole live stream, it is only for informational purposes. It's set as some form of guidance for yourself. Most importantly, you have to go and look for a medical professional to first assess your situation before determining the right course of action. Because for each person, it will be very different. People tend to think that it is there is some kind of blanket solution to everything. There isn't, unfortunately. And people tend to think because there isn't a blanket solution, so it must be very complex. Well, humans are complex. We have to find something that fits you, right? And sometimes, you know, when we recommend them to us, say some form of therapy or therapist, and then you say that, I don't quite feel the results yet. And then I ask them like, how many times did you went for the session? And they say 1 time. Nothing happens in life after you do it 1 time. You got to go for 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 10 times. You got to change your therapist too. It's much like shopping. If you guys like shopping, you got to shop around for the best therapies and therapy that fits whatever that you're going through. And through a controlled period of time, you can evaluate whether that actually brings you more results. Do you commit to the session or are you skipping them? Not going and not seeking for help is one thing. Seeking for help and then not committing to the solution is another thing. Right? People have this idea that like, Hugo, if I sign up for your course or seminar, will my life change? Your life will not change until you commit to applying them. It's not like some people have a feeling like, if I just sign up for that therapy, I sign up, yes, I succeeded, I've solved my problem. Signing up doesn't solve any problem. But they have this feeling that if I just pay for something, if I just fill out a form, it means that I've done something. You have done nothing. The value is in the application, is in the commitment. And whatever form of healing has its place, but it definitely will take your commitment and time. That's fact number 1. Number 2 is that as for what type of nutrition, I think usually, in my personal opinion, again, personal opinion, is that if there is anything that you feel not right, usually it's a few things. It's possibly the food you eat, the quality of water you are drinking, whether you have enough rest and sleep. A lot of people are sleeping, but they are not resting. They are not in deep sleep. A lot of people are eating, but they are not eating quality food. A lot of people are drinking, but they are drinking soft drinks. Another thing that I would like to emphasize is, of course, exercise. A lot of people are exercising, but their idea of exercising is to, I don't know, like put on a sports top and post for Instagram. That's not exercising. Like there is a sincere lack of honesty on why sometimes we have an idea why we are not doing better in any areas of our life, whether it's in relationship, whether it's in financial, whether it's in mental health. We have a little bit of clue, but we are just not being honest with ourselves. Ask yourself honestly, are you getting enough rest? Do you rest at the right time? Do you rest well? Do you have a good mattress? Are you eating good food? Do you eat on time or are you postponing your meals? Do you drink enough water? Staying hydrated will improve your state of mind. It will improve your well-being. You will feel better. You will perform better. When you perform better, when you feel better, people respond to you better. It's a cycle. Lastly, do you have the right breathing method? A lot of people are breathing, but they're not breathing correctly. There is another session. When is that? I'm not sure which one. We did a lot of sessions on mental health. There are some participants that try to, have a discussion on breathing methods. That's really cool. You are finally exploring that. All these things are basic, but we are not doing it in a way that is efficient, that is optimum, that is best. There are times where you need to take multiple quick breaths. There are times where you need to take deep breath. There are specific methods of breathing, like some of you might be using the 4-7-8, right? Inhale for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8. Some of you could be in the martial arts circle. You learn that you inhale through your nose. When you exhale through your mouth, make sure your tongue is touching the top of your mouth. All these are different techniques. Some of you are using the Iceman, the Wim Hof breathing method. Cool, great for you, whatever works for you. Some of you are getting to yoga, into meditation. Go for it. Does it work for you? If it works, keep going. So yes, back to you, Jan.
Wow. I just felt like he just shaded every influencer out there that just takes a picture for working out. Oh, there's a comment here. Some people are obsessed on impressing everyone on social media. Exactly. I think that is why yesterday I actually posted something about telling people like, just stop trying. Let's all just stop trying. Let's just be ourselves. And Hugo, I don't even know whether you take a breath just now when you speak. Like you spoke so long and I'm like, is he even breathing? But it's very true. You see, the advices or the guides that we said today is just like more like what we have learned throughout our journey as well. Especially for me, I learned a lot from Hugo, and like when I start, being in a circle of friends talking about mental health, and there is where I learned, okay, there's certain breathing methods to reduce anxiety, or there are certain foods that we can eat and will feel better. And those are things that we need to do. And working out is definitely a way to go. Shopping as well, but everything in moderation. Everything in moderation.
Agree.
Back
And
to you, Jan.
and thank you both for your thoughts on this. And now that you've bridged it actually to social media, the question would then be: is social media a very good place or a bad place to express one's thoughts when it comes to social health issues? I mean, I understand that if you post something online, people may like it, people may criticize you for it. It's like a wild space out there, social media and other digital media. And how? So it's more of like, my question would be, how can we effectively use digital media to help us in coping in this kind of issue?
I think it depends on the intention when you post something online. It's the intention. Are you seeking for likes? Are you seeking for comments? Do you want someone to see the post because you have done something differently? Or are you going to social media because you're trying to look for new friends? You're trying to express your thoughts? Or are you someone like an advocate where you're going on social media to talk about issues that are rising? It can be mental health. It can be, you're trying to show off your new working skills that you have learned and you would like to share it on social media. So it really depends on your intention. If your intention on going on social media is to raise awareness, like what Hugo and I, we really use social media as a tool for us to reach out to more people. Even like you guys, you all came here, to listen to us or to share your thoughts on mental health and to talk about it, to normalize conversations. That is good, to raise awareness. But if you're going there as an individual who is trying to seek attention probably, or, you're alone, you feel lonely, it's not bad. There's no good or bad when you share something online. It just depends on how you say things. It's not what you say, but how you say it. You see, I could say like, I disagree with you, but there's a proper way for me to say it so that, okay, JM, I think I could accept that, even though you say it like that. So there's no right or wrong, but it's all moderation. So the key here is like, if you're going through something and you're using social media as your outlet, feel free to do so. But I wouldn't say like the world now, it's like the best place. Like social media isn't the best place to share your dark thoughts, because some people might relate to you, but some people might take on the opportunity to really hit you harder. And there are a lot of cases on social media where there's bullying happen, and some people can't accept that, and they ended up ending their life because of those actions. Like in Malaysia, I think last year, one girl or guy posted a poll on her Insta story saying that, should I end my life or something? Like it wasn't like ending my life, but it was like yes or no. And she took it like, okay, I'm gonna end my life. You get what I mean? Sometimes we don't know when you put a poll, like what is the meaning behind the poll. You might just click it because you would like to answer the question. But yes, that's terrible. Exactly. And that is, we will never know what's the intention when someone posts something. So always be careful. When you say something, make sure it's kind, make sure it's necessary. If it's not important, you don't need to say it. Keep it to yourself, especially you might dislike that person. You might not think that, what the person's saying is right or wrong. But sometimes if you feel like you might hurt the person's feeling, just keep it to yourself. Keep your own thoughts to yourself. You don't need to share it. You just need to, just process it by yourself. So yeah, that's my thought on social media, and there's no right or wrong, just moderation. Hugo?
I think to add to Mel, that's the reason why, as you know, both of us are in the Rotary family. Rotary, we have something called a four-way test, right? So it's adopted by an entrepreneur, actually. What happens during this four-way test? Perhaps I can read it out. The four-way test, basically, we used to reside in some of our events, right? Number one, before we think, say, or do anything, we ask ourselves, is it the truth? Number two, is it fair to all concerned? Number three, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Number four, will it be beneficial to all concerned? That is the four-way test, right? That's what we read out in every event. Because it's so important. The history of the four-way test is there is a company in the brink of bankruptcy, and there is this entrepreneur that adopted this four-way test as a guideline, as a principle for the company to run. So long story short, he able to turn the company around. And the success of this guiding principle, the four-way test, was later being adopted by Rotary International. So before you say anything on social media, you need to ask, is it true? Is it fair? Will it build better friendship? A lot of times when you are bullying someone, when you are judging someone, just ask yourself, does it even build friendship and goodwill? It just simply fail. It just fail the part number three, then you don't do it. I think just because we give you a mic doesn't mean you say everything without considering the situation, without considering where you are at, who you are with. I think part of growing up is knowing this, right? And social media give you a platform to broadcast your views and your life to the rest of the world. But actually, it just doesn't change anything. It just amplifies whatever is it that you are already, having. And to a lot of people that have been attention seeking, right now having social media just makes them more attention seeking. So I think the take away from this is that if you feel that the reason why you post on social media is to get attention, every time when you get some attention, you feel more validated, as if no one commented that it is great, you don't feel great, then obviously you need to get help. Again, right? People feel like, no, that's very normal. Everyone is like that, right? It depends. How serious is your condition? Like, seriously, a lot of people are not well. Right? You are just not being honest, right? Not well is not well. You need to get help, If you can't go for the pay options, maybe there are some subsidized options you can consider in your country, or certain hospitals or clinics, or maybe you can go for free support sessions as well. I keep on repeating this because it's kind of important. Around the world, there are 970 million people that is struggling with mental illness. Of course, that's the reported figure. As simple as in Malaysia, for the adolescents, 1 in 6 is a victim of bullying. 1 in 6 is a victim of some form of bullying. And then we have about 1 to 2 in 5 is suffering from some form of stress and anxiety. And those are, in a very limited sampling size. And I believe whatever the real figures are would be much higher. And of course, there is a very popular stats that says whether it's 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 of us will suffer some form of mental challenges and emotional challenges, whether it's right now or some part of our lives. Which means that if right now, if you look around you, who are the people besides you, who are in the Zoom panel besides you? You just need to count 1, 2, 3, 4. One person is going to have some problems. You just don't know yet, right? And social media reveals and amplify the people that seeks for validation. It amplifies people that feels hollow. It amplifies people that follows people. When they see a lot of different influences, that's a reason why we also often mention that all of us are some form of influencers, whether it's macro, nano, or micro. We influence some people. Maybe it could be 10 people, maybe it could be 100, maybe it could be 1,000. My question for you is, what type of influencer you want to become? Like, do you want to become something just like a likes attracting machine, but has no extra value whatsoever? Are you using it to build your business? Are you using it as a voice for advocacy? Are you using it as a way to connect with your family? I think we need to reevaluate our purpose a lot. And as for those that are being bullied, right now Instagram has a block function. You can block the person from ever commenting. There is also an extra function where you can block if that person started an alternate account to continue bullying you. You will also block that account. So yes, thank you to Instagram. So let's use social media responsibly. Back to you, JN.
Thank you for wow. That definitely makes sense what you're saying about the digital space and how could we utilize social media and other digital mediums to focus ourselves on the right way, if you will. And well, consider this as I guess like a last question, if you will, like an overall general question, but are there any activity before we go on the break, by the way, because we're going to have a few minutes break and then we're going to go open up for the open forum. But to cap it off, as an individual, what activity should we do to cope or to address the issue of mental health?
Nice. Oh, is that the question? Is that it? Like
that's
no
the question.
follow-up? Okay.
No follow-up.
I think there are a few activities that me myself has spoken on in my own personal platform to the other listeners in my platform, where the first activity, like what Hugo said earlier, was breathing. The most common one is learning how to breathe. So that's like the best thing when you get an anxiety attack or when you suddenly feel really stressed out and you need to learn how to breathe. Like there are certain techniques that you can actually search it up on YouTube, like what Hugo said earlier, like that is really beneficial into helping you calm down and like just, okay, things are going to be fine. You just need to breathe, take deep breath. The second one I always ask them to do is cry. Like I love crying. Like just crying is it's my way to go. I'm an emotional person. I might not seem like one, but every time after I cry, I feel so much better. Like everything is out of my system. You kind of like flush it out, let yourself be in the moment. Really, okay, after you cry, pick yourself back up. And like what I said earlier, like really know, okay, now let's do like a post-mortem after crying. Okay, this is why I cried, how can I, what solutions can I have? what is my options? Do I pursue something else, or do I, stick to this, but try to do it in a way that, okay, I don't care about what other people say. I'm just going to do my thing. It's my thing now. Okay. Or the third activity I like to do since I'm young. Okay. It's basically, I get a paper. I just get a paper and I tear the paper. I'm going to get the paper out. Let me show you. Either I write on the paper like all my problems and then tear it up, or I just start tearing, like literally just start tearing and be like, oh my God, I'm so angry. This is my way of releasing my anger. Last time when I was younger, I believe everyone here, please tell me if you have done this. Have you ever try to hit the wall as hard as possible and really hurt your hand or hurt your face after that? Really try to just knock the wall and release all your energy on the wall. Yes, you see? That's something I have done when I was younger and it hurts me. After that, I'll have red hands and I don't like it. So this is the new way whereby I just tear, be like, oh my God, I really hated that person. He makes me so angry. Just release all the emotions on this paper. Okay, grab it and just throw it out. Okay, then my problem, it's all going away. I feel a little bit better. Breathe. Really just let yourself feel the emotion. Sometimes we brush it off too much that you just ended up being so angry and you hold on to the anger until you really burst and break down, later on in the day, because you just can't handle all the thoughts in your mind. You used to like this method as well. Great, guys, great. So use those methods. I hope that, those sharing or those activities, you could adapt to it and or you can eat. I used to eat, but the thing is, I'm a girl and, I'm competing in a competition. I can't really eat as how I used to, but food to me is the thing as well. I work out to eat. Eating is my guilty pleasure. I can eat everything, anything, the more the merrier, So those, just find the activity that you like, shop, game, to release stress. So yeah, back to you, Hugo.
All right. So there are a few things that definitely agree with. I'm pro crying. I'm pro hitting something. All those are definitely valuable stuff. Another thing that you can do with your paper is that you can write down whatever that is in your mind. So I'm also an advocate for journaling. That is definitely a thing. I used to journal a little bit more, now not really. So I've thought whatever is in my head, right? But journaling is definitely a great start. I used to have this not just journal, but also gratitude journal. Every morning I write down what is it that I'm grateful for. Before I go to bed, I write down another whole essay of what I'm grateful for. Again, right, a lot of people are saying writing, it's not my thing. I don't even like to write my assignments. Now you want me to write some more, right? Here's the thing, right, is people keep things in their head. Don't keep things inside here. Let it out. What you are thinking, what you are feeling. But that doesn't mean you go and find someone to shout at, to, I don't know, throw stuff at. Some people, express themselves that way. It's an expression. But because you are hurt, now you hurt another person. And that's the reason why my message is that mental health is so important, because it is not just about you. I've seen so many people, and I'm sure you have as well. How many of you have seen teachers that cannot control their emotions? How many of you have worked with bosses that you just feel they have something wrong in them? How many of you have grew up with parents that you feel in some ways they are not well prepared to parent? So this is the tragedy of our society, because once upon a time, my old teachers used to throw things at their students. That's it, man. That's it. They're expressing themselves that way, in a non-constructive way. that hurts other people, that makes another person becomes a hurt person and continue the vicious cycle. If you today does not find a way to cope and process your mental and emotional challenges, tomorrow you are a teacher. Tomorrow you are a lawmaker. Tomorrow you are a parent. Tomorrow you are a manager, a leader. And what do you think will happen? The cycle continues. So I think one of the easiest way is number one, journaling. Write out whatever that you are thinking and feeling every day. Don't keep anything in your head before you go to bed. You actually feel relief that everything is on the paper. I'll give you an example. Can you see this? You can't see this, right? Do you know how many of these books I have? I just have to throw them away, or recycle them somewhere along the way. Because never keep anything inside here or inside here. It has to go somewhere. If it can't go to a person, let's go to a paper first. So number one, journaling. Number two is you need a way to process your emotions and also your thoughts. For example, why does the gratitude journal or listing actually works? It's because most of us has a tendency to think negatively, true. That you always look for the bad sides of things. And what the gratitude list does is that it helps you to focus on things that are good in your life. The truth is this, there are always bad and good things happening every day. But some days you choose to look at only the good things that happen and you think it is a good day. Some days you tend to look at the bad things that happen and you think it's a bad day. But at all days, both good and bad things are happening. Which leads me to create the second type of list. Whenever I'm feeling too sad, too disappointed, I will go into my thinking, my reflection mode, and my journaling mode to write down things that are opposite of what I'm feeling, to force me to have a balanced perspective. But at the same time, whenever I'm feeling irrationally happy, irrationally passionate, or any form of emotions that you feel is positive, when I'm emotionally obsessed with something or someone, it's an auto program that I've decided. Whenever I feel that, it means that I'm not having a balanced perspective. I will do the opposite of a gratitude list. I think this is what is not being taught a lot. People thought the end goal is to be positive. No, the end goal is not to be positive. The end goal is clarity. Now I will create a whole list. What is wrong with my day? What should I pay attention to? Wow. So Hugo, you are thinking what is wrong? Yes. When you feel things are going too good, you need to think what is wrong. When you think things are going too right or too wrong, you need to think the opposite, right? So lastly, of course, go for meditation, go for dancing, go for martial arts to express yourself physically. I have a punching bag at home, a standing punching bag, so that I can punch whatever that I want to punch if it's necessary. But over time, if you learn how to transform your emotions and mental processes, you would barely need that, truly, at least in my case. So back to you, Jan.
All right. Thank you both again for your wonderful insights on that question. And with that, we conclude our the main part, I guess, of our event. And before we go to the open forum, let's have a short break, just for a few minutes, and we'll come back for the audience questions now for the open forum. Thank you so much again, Hugo and Militia, for your insights, and we'll be back in just a few minutes.
Thank you. See you.
See you. Akan niya ako ron. Akan niya ako ron. Spotify. Hello, everyone, and we're back. So we're going to the Q&A portion of our talk this afternoon, and I guess the floor is open for any questions that you may have or any comments that you may have as well during the course of our talk this afternoon. If you want to be heard through audio, that's also okay. Please raise your hand or signify a thumbs up, probably if you want to ask a direct question directly to our guests here. So yeah, floor is open, guys. Perhaps could I call on Reva, because she's been very active in our Zoom chat this afternoon. Maybe Reva, could you give us like a reaction or your thoughts on what we've talked about this afternoon? Hope Reva's in. Reva, are you here?
How about I asked you? Oh, okay, Reva has a question.
Yeah, sure. You can type it. No worries.
But I have a question for you, Jan, before Reva's question. You yourself, maybe, you're staying at home as well, right? I believe in the Philippines. What is your thought of staying at home? Like, did it affected your mental well-being? How are you coping with that? We can share a little bit as well.
Yeah, sure. Well, the work from home condition during the earlier part of the pandemic, if you will, during the major lockdowns, it didn't really affect me at first. It felt like, okay, I just need to sit it out. I have to continue working. Everyone was still adjusting to the conditions, and yes, there may have been calls here and there, but it didn't reach the point of Zoom fatigue. It didn't really reach. I mean, I didn't get Zoom fatigue until probably 3-4 months after the initial lockdowns here in the Philippines, which was on the 15th of March of last year. And then later on, it got built up, if you will. And then eventually I would get anxiety because calls would come in, not just from like Zoom, but also on WhatsApp. There's Viber, there's Facebook Messenger. And it was just all around. And it really peaked around, I guess, February, March of this year, to the point that it was really difficult for me to cope with the burnouts. I was getting more frequent burnouts. I was actually crying while doing my work. And yeah, crying does really help, I admit. It's a very good mechanism to have, in the human body, because it gave instant comfort, if you will. But eventually, there comes a point that there's like a limit. And I actually resigned from my job as a result of it. It was just too much. I needed to look at my personal stuff and just take a step back. And yeah, I mean, you may see me right now as a smiling, happy person, but if you asked me actually around April or May of this year, it would have been early May this year, it would have been a very different case. And it's tough, but the decisions that I made, and the decisions that my family also made, because they also supported me in my personal decision to take a step back and just take a breather. And it it really reduced my anxiety, and hopefully when I feel much better, and I could get back to to work and see how things are going to be like in the future. So
That's really, that's really nice of you to share. I think a lot of people, they're afraid to share. Like usually, when I ask this question, probably they would be reluctant to share, especially because we are live and there are many people here. It's not just you and me, but when you tend to share or you tend to open up to other people, allowing yourself to be vulnerable, I feel like there are wonders, like wonders will happen. And I really hope that, when you feel better and ready, you can go back to the workforce and be that person, strong person. And I feel like you're very strong, given that not everyone can make the decision to quit their job. Some people can't do that because, they have a lot of things to do, like bills or whatever. They need to support their family. Maybe they're married. They can't do that. So it's really amazing that you can do that, and you can like take a step back and like try to think like, okay, I need this so that my mental health state is going to be okay. So really, to anyone that you would like to share, maybe Anya, or I think Reva's question is out.
yeah,
Jan, do you mind like reading the question?
Sure, no worries. So okay, so often I'm a friend people go to for. I mean, I'm the friend people go for help, and sometimes I'm overwhelmed also, and don't have the energy to help at that moment. I've been getting better at it, but I was wondering if there have any suggestions on how to go about setting boundaries. So I think it's more aligned of I guess the point that she's that to-go person, and
Mm-hmm.
if it becomes overwhelming, how would she tell her friends that, okay, hold on, this is something you need to like stop for a while. I need to process myself. I think that's the point that Reva has raised.
I think even me myself, I'm kind of that person. I'm kind of that individual that people come to, and I tend to be the listener. Of course, like what Hugo said, do you listen to respond or you listen to listen? I think mostly it's to listen when it's with my friends. But yes, I do get burnout as well because I'm a very big people pleaser. If people ask me to do something, I'll be like, yes, I can do it. Yes, I can do it. Yes, I can do it. Until sometimes I don't think I can do it anymore. Like I reach a point whereby I'm like, oh no, after I say yes, I'll be like thinking, like scratching my head, like, no, I don't think I have time. I don't think I can force myself to go through another task or to really listen to another person. And sometimes it's tiring, but it really depends on what's your purpose. Like it goes back to your purpose. Like for me, even though I'm tired when sometimes I listen to too many people and have burnouts, but because my purpose is to be that person for the other individuals, I do it anyway. It might not be like the best way, and I might not be the best person to tell you like what is the solution, but just know what's your purpose. And on like setting boundaries, I think it really depends on your purpose. Like if your purpose is to like, okay, I think I need a break. I think I can't do it anymore. I don't think I'm the suitable person to listen to you anymore. Maybe suggest help to that individual and see how things go from there. But maybe Hugo, you can add a little bit more on this because I think for me it's always like I just do it anyway. I'm kind of like a just do it person, even though I'm tired or I'm exhausted.
I think it's very important to understand our values, because our values should determine our priority. So everything else, is have you ever heard of I think it's Randy Zuckerberg? I can't recall what are the 5, but she says something along the lines like friends, family, sleep, or something. Choose 3 or something. I hold a very similar concept that we also share in different workshops and seminars. I think I've shared in the Philippines before as well. Basically, we have this game that we play to help you determine what are your top values. And then we check whether your values are actually aligned with your actions and where you invest your time with. So your goal in life is to find out what is it that is most important to you at this phase of life and reject everything else. And everything else that is not aligned to your top values will not make you more fulfilled, happier, and healthier. It is also possible that you need to think whatever that you are forced to do, how can I make use of it to align to my top values? For example, not everything in life we do because we want to do. Sometimes we do things because we have to do. So when you are doing things like that, the question is, how can I position, package, or negotiate whatever that I have to do to ensure that it has elements that align to what I want to do? If that makes sense for you, right? So for certain people, what is most important for you could be your family. I give an example, right? But if your job requires you to be away from your family, there's like no question why you've dreaded going to work. It affects your performance. It affects your well-being. But sometimes you're forced to do it, right? Because it's a great opportunity and stuff. So you have to have this mental calculation, like I'm definitely sacrificing it over here, but maybe I can maximum give it 2 to 3 years, then I will apply for a position that brings me back closer to home. So there should be a clear cost versus benefit analysis in your head. Once you calculate that out, then you try to transition to more favorable positions and environment for yourself. It's also very true that through the exercise, I don't think we have time, but through the exercise, we find out that people who do not put wealth or wealth building as one of their top values usually always have problems financially. And people who do not put family as the top, there's something very weird, right? Like, have you ever have a friend that always have money to go shopping and buy toys, but when it comes to their family, they don't have time nor money? It's not wrong per se, but it's just that different people have different values. So I think the message is you need to be clear about what you want first, then only you can set the boundaries. And if you are forced to do certain things that you don't want to, but you have to, then think, how can I make use of what I'm doing to get to where I want to be? I also feel very relieved when I'm clear in my mind. I'm not sure if that applies to you as well. Like even when I'm doing something that I'm forced to do, if I know how it leads to where I want to go, I suddenly feel it's okay. When I calculate out what is my cost and benefit, like when I come to peace with what I need to sacrifice, suddenly the sacrifice becomes okay. So yeah, I think besides that, of course, time block off the time, learn to say no. Yeah, glad to hear from you as well, Reva. Hope you can try out and let us know how it goes. Back to you, Jen.
All right, thank you. Reva, I hope that really answered your question there. And yeah, great question, Reva. Let's go with one more question, and then we're going to head on to, actually, we do have a reflection time after this. So let's use this time as for one more question. Let's go with the one asked by Eris Gonzalez. What can you say to those people who advocate mental health as a marketing ploy? Like there are some people who take advantage of quote unquote mental health as part of their marketing strategy, but they lack initiative to address the root causes of having a mental disorder in the first place.
Hugo, do you want to take this one first?
Sure, definitely. Okay, so this is a question we have heard a lot as well, because some people, there are friends that we have discussed as well with some of our friends in the community, and I think it's a few years back. I think the last I discussed this is a few years back. What kind of attitude should we have towards people or organizations that capitalize on good advocacies, for their publicity, for example, or marketing, or for their company CSR program. Now, here's the thing. Here is my opinion, right? I don't care why you do it, but if what you do leads to the betterment of the society, do it. Because not everyone, for example, Mel and I has been involved in a lot of community service programs, but it doesn't mean that everyone who joins a community service program is because they are passionate about serving the community. True. Some of them could be doing it for publicity of their company programs, or some of it are doing it for networking. Some of it are doing it because they want to get a cert, I'm not sure. There are a lot of reasons why people do things. But at the end of the day, did they turn up? Yes. Regardless of their personal interests, it doesn't matter to me. Because I feel that our goal here is to achieve a certain results. And as long as the results is a net positive, meaning at the end of the day, the rivers are clean, we bring people together, people has a great time, we're able to create sustainable projects that help people. Does it really matter why people do it? Even if they're doing it for marketing? And sometimes these marketing programs actually inspires more people to do the same. It inspires other entrepreneurs, it inspires other celebrities or influencers to try to come and work with me and Mel to do more great things. So is it a net positive for me? It is. It is. Your intentions, however good, if it does not bear fruits, it doesn't change the societies. It doesn't change lives. All right. So, yep. Back to you, Jen.
Interesting take on the question, actually. I really like Hugo's approach on this question, because I think, as long as it brings a good benefit to the community, despite what's your intention, of course, hopefully it's pure. We always hope that it's pure intention, wanting to, work on advocacies for the betterment of the community. But if it's not, if you're just doing it for, let's say some people do it for marketing or for CSR programs of their company, but if it brings us good, it inspires me to do more for my community, why not? It's better to have more people to do good things than to not do anything at all. It's better for them to create an action, to act on things instead of just talking and no actions is moving towards a better direction. So I agree on Hugo when it comes to this term or this answer.
I think to add a bit to that, I think it's also a personal philosophy of mine to judge the message, not the messenger. I don't care who is the messenger is. It could be a good person or a bad person according to you. But if the message is good, the message is good. If the product, the output is good, the output is good. I have friends that would go to the length that to say that because this quote or this method or this project is associated with so and so personality, or politician or influencer, because of that person or that organization, I don't feel the product is good. I would beg to differ on this. You know, we should judge the output regardless of where it comes from. Right? Yeah. Back to you, Jan.
Wow. Yeah. Great answers. And I hope that Eris was able to grasp everything that our speakers have said. And yeah, I understand that there is one more question, but because we're about to wrap up. It's close to 5 o'clock, so we'll just direct the question to the speakers after this talk, and then they'll get back to you. And if there are any additional questions that you have, please feel free to ask away, and then we'll get back to you. The organizers will get back to you with the responses from our speakers. Okay, so before we go on to the final parts, I guess, of our talk this afternoon, I'd like to give just a few minutes of your time for moment of reflection. And let me just get the music so that we can be on the mood. And I suggest, if I may, could we have everyone turn on their cameras so that we could, internalize it all together, if you will. Hope you can hear the music. Okay. So at this point, could I get everyone to take, a few deep breaths? And we want to breathe in and out. Breathe in again and out. Now, one of the most relaxing activities is to think about positive and happy thoughts and places that you used to do when you were very young. And as you do this, I want you to listen to the sounds and imagine yourself that you're in your happy place. Remember that you are an amazing person. You're blessed with a good life, good family, and good friends. There is nothing you can't do because you are strong. Okay, slowly open your eyes. Breathe again. There we go. Right. So I hope that you were energized for a bit before we end our talk this afternoon. And to cap it off, could we ask Dana to lead us with a brief camera moment? Could we turn on all our cameras so that we can get our photo shoot done? Or Anya? Yeah. Hi, Anya.
First, because we don't have time anymore, unfortunately, to provide no, we could have the photo, but to provide the certificates, and I will just be sending the certificates via email. Also for Dorleen, because she's also been an amazing part of this event. And thank you again for the speakers, and thank you JM again for supporting us. And even though this was like very all of a sudden for everyone. Okay. So thank you again, and this was an amazing talk. So yeah, let's all take a picture.
All right, everyone, so may I please request for you to turn on your cameras so we can see everybody's beautiful smiles. Let's just wait a few moments for people to turn on their cameras. All right, so I think most people have turned on their cameras, so I will be taking a picture now in 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. It was a nice talk. Thank you for attending. See you all. Bye-bye.
All right. And I guess that concludes our talk today about mental health. Again, I'd like to thank Hugo and Militia for joining us this afternoon on behalf of the organizers, particularly Ania, who actually helped greatly in organizing all of this. And we hope to, share with you future talks about this and other topics that you may have in your mind right now. And we hope to see you all real soon. Stay safe, stay happy, and stay negative in COVID.
Thank you, Anya. Thank you, Jan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Justin, as well. Thank you, Hugo.
Oh, thank you,
Bye.
Justin.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Luis.
Yes.
Thank you.
Huge shout out to Justin.
Thank you, Hugo. Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah, thank
Take
you.
care. Bye bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye.